Hello class, and welcome to your first presentation for English 102. In this presentation, we're going to discuss the social and biological function of mimesis and begin to think about how it can inflect our beliefs about Oedipus Rex. If you have any questions about these sources or would like some suggestions for further reading, please just ask me via email or the discussion board. Eventually, we are going to focus on Oedipus as a scapegoat. That is a creature or object who takes the blame for the transgressions of a community. But for right now, we're just going to focus on the first three steps. Those three steps are mimesis, competition, and monstrous doubling. Do you remember step one? Step one is mimesis. So we need to figure out what mimesis is. Mimesis is a simple function which allows children to imitate their parents. When they imitate their parents, they can learn behaviors that are very, very important for survival. That's mimesis. You may have seen mimetic behavior in infants. Do you ever notice that when you smile, a baby smiles back almost unconsciously? Or that when you wave, a baby waves back almost unconsciously? That is a mimetic function. The infant is simply imitating its parents. It's a key strategy for survival. The problem with mimesis is that it causes competition. If two children see a parent eating the same thing, they are both going to want to eat that same thing. They, therefore, naturally become competitors because they are imitating both the parent and each other. We see this in nature as the example of the birds on the left, and I know we've all seen it in the supermarket with brothers and sisters. God help you if you are in a supermarket and a brother gets a candy and the sister doesn't get one. We all see the sister go absolutely crazy because she considers herself a mimetic double of her brother. She wants what the brother wants because she's imitating him. In this case, the brother and sister are competing for the love of the parent and for good food. And we can see how in nature this behavior would be absolutely crucial for survival. We've already covered steps 1 and 2. Mimesis and competition. Now let's move on to step 3. Step 3 is something called monstrous doubling, and this is a little bit more complicated. Monstrous doubling occurs when the competition between siblings, for example, becomes so fierce that the object that forced them to start competing is completely forgotten, and the siblings turn on each other, making monsters of one another. In the example that we heard before, the brother and sister stop fighting about the candy bar. They completely forget the object that caused them to start fighting in the first place and just create the belief that their brother or sister is a terrible person. That's the cause of their problem. Not the resources, but the other people who are competing for the resources. Now that we have seen and hopefully comprehended this new information about mimesis, let's see if we can apply it to Oedipus Rex. I'll do one application as an example, and then there is one for you to complete yourselves. To apply mimesis to Oedipus, we need to consider 3 things. 1. Who is in the mimetic community? 2. What are they competing for? And 3. When or how do they paint each other as monsters? In my example, I will consider Oedipus's interaction on page 134. In this example, Oedipus and Tiresias are in the mimetic community. Like members of a family, they have a lot in common. Both are well known, and both are supposed to be wise. Both are also in a position of scrutiny by the chorus and by the audience. Step 2. They have an argument. What are they competing for? In line 662, we can see that the object of their competition is power. Oedipus fears that Tiresias wants his power. When do they begin to paint each other as monsters? Near the end of the argument, on page 136, we can see that they stop fighting over power and start simply calling each other names. That is the moment when the object, power, is forgotten, and the process of monstrous doubling has begun. Now you try. Please look at the argument Oedipus has with Creon on page 138 to 140. What are they competing for? When and how did they begin the process of monstrous doubling? Good luck, and as always, if you have any questions about this material, I will be happy to answer them over email or via the discussion forums. Thanks for listening.